And during those first rehearsals, do you remember what songs you tried out?
When I started to sound check my monitor system, I was singing Rainbow Eyes when Ritchie walked in, and he said, "I know that song," and I said, "Well, you should do. You wrote it." But I mean, we played Man in the Silver Mountain, we played Burn, we played Mistreated, we did Help by the Beatles, we did Going Down, which I think Jeff Beck had covered that he liked.
What, did you play that live in the 70s?
Did they?
Yeah, during the Coverdale Bowling lineup.
Oh, really? Okay.
As an encore. It's a precursor to Highway Star.
Oh, right. Okay. Well, I see. I don't know everything, but so we went through that, and what else did we play? I think we did Catch the Rainbow. I mean, I have a tape of it somewhere, but it's probably in a box in Scotland somewhere, because on the second or third night, when I knew it was my last night, I said to him, "Look, can I record this?" He said, "Go ahead." So I just recorded it, so I've got some of the stuff there.
Fantastic.
So, you know.
And obviously, for you, you're following a lot of footsteps. Obviously, Ronnie James Dio,
Graham,
Ian Gillan, and
yep.
you know, Coverdale songs. You're singing all these songs by these great singers, Bonnet and Jolene Turner. So, was that an daunting task?
In a way, yes, it was, because they're all unique singers. I mean, if you listen to them, none of them sound like anybody else. And what I had to try and do was not to be a mimic of these guys, but to follow a formula that worked for it, but also would allow me to put my interpretation into the songs. You know, and I found Graham Bonnet's songs extremely difficult to sing, because I couldn't make them sound anywhere near as authentic, because he has this kind of a roar that, you know, that only Graham can do, really.
Well, when he sings, his faint's almost pop out his neck.
Yeah, I'm always waiting for his head to explode. But it was daunting to a point. But then I knew all the songs, you know, and I had Ritchie had my back. You know, had he not had confidence in me, then I would have felt maybe perhaps intimidated by it. But I think there had been enough time between the end of Rainbow with Joe and my version of it coming along, that it gave it a kind of, you know, there was a period in between. It wasn't like when Graham joined immediately after Ronnie, you know, which that's a daunting task, because not only is it, you know, the style of music changed as well, you know. So yeah, I took to it like a duck to water.
Great.
Really.
But you were against like the elements of the music tide at the time, because grunge was kicking in, and classic rock was sort of looked at upon us as like an old man's sort of rock, and
Absolutely.
you were up against it, weren't you?
Yeah, we were in Switzerland, and there was a guy from a magazine doing an interview in the dressing room with Greg Smith, the bass player, Chuck Burgie, and myself. And he was drinking our wine and drinking our beer. And he said, "Well, what does it feel like to be in an old fart band?" So I grabbed him and threw him out the dressing room, took his pass off him, and had the security guards throw him out. Mm-hmm. You know, it was a
gave him a Swiss roll.
It was a different time, and you know, but we still managed to do well. I mean, we sold 400,000 albums, you know, and people don't sell that anymore. But that's because of the internet, not because of...
Fair enough, I believe that album got to number 5 in Switzerland, actually.
Did it, really?
Yeah.
Maybe the journalist wrote something nice there. But, you know, it was number 1 in Japan, it did very well in Germany. You know, 400,000 during that period of time when, as you say, that kind of music, with everybody involved, was really taking a hit. You know, and it wasn't until sort of 99, you know, when grunge had sort of petered out, that it started to make, that classic rock thing started.
And it is an album that stood the test of time. You know, it's unbelievable. It's actually 18 years ago now that album was released, and you know, it's hard to believe. You know, like as young 18-year-old rock fans out
Look
there,
at the face.
Not even born when Ritchie Blackmore last played the electric guitar for 90 minutes.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And how proud are you of that album?
I'm very proud of it. I mean, it was a groundbreaking album for me, because it has allowed me to go on and do other things and work with other great players. You know, that was the kind of grounding for it, if you like. There was a lot better guys than me around at the time, but they made different choices from the ones I made, and the choices they made, they're happy with, and the choices I made, I'm happy with, and you know, I was very pleased to be in Rainbow for, what, I think 3.5 years.
It was, yeah.
Disappointed that it was only one album. I mean, I'd like to have done another one. In fact, when we went to Esbjerg in Denmark, we were headlining the festival there, and
was that the infamous final show?
That was the final show,
Yeah.
and I mean, I took half a dozen ideas to Ritchie that night, and he took the tape quite happily, and then it just was no more. So I used those ideas on the second Cornerstone album, Hunting Humans. I gave them to Steen, gave my ideas to Steen Morgensen, rather than what it would have been interesting to see what Ritchie would do, just to see the contrast,
yeah.
you know.
And how much of a songwriting input did you have with? Did you have a free rein?
There came a point where I had a free rein initially. You know, the initial conversation we had was, what kind of album would you want to make with me then, Doogie? And I said, well, I'd like to make a cross between Burn and Rainbow Rising. And he went, perfect. As we got further into it, certain lyrical ideas were not allowed because that was too close to Ronnie D, or this was too close to, and we had to kind of write songs that girls would like, even though the 95% of the audience were male anyway, because I'm no Joel and Turner. You know, so we compromised a little bit on that, and we worked a long time on it, and no, I had free rein for most of it, and then it became clear that Ritchie wanted Candy to get involved in the writing process, and so some of my ideas were taken away and replaced with her lyric ideas, and you know, which was a great help, because I mean, you know, she wrote the lyrics that I wasn't allowed to write, if you like, you know, that sort of fantasy thing, you know. So I'm pleased with it all, you know.
And quite a lot of the songs actually made the live set, you know. I think it's about 6 or 7 songs in that album in the live set. Was there any songs that you tried out that didn't make it? Like Silence is a fantastic song.
We didn't do that. We never even rehearsed that. We rehearsed Stand and Fight and we only played it in the first show, and the set was just a little bit too long if we were going to go off on tangents, and that was kind of the weakest song. It was the first song we wrote together. And on the demos, it was a Hammond organ rather than a mouth organ. Don't know why they changed that, but that went. No, there was nothing. I mean, I got a set list from Ritchie, which I still have, if I could dig it out, and it says Ritchie Blackmore's Rainbow set list. This is not open for discussion. You know, so it's like, okay, that's great. I mean, I wanted to do Stargazer, I wanted to do Kill the King. You know, we only did one Joe Lynn Turner era song, which was Spotlight Kid, which we opened with.
I think he did Street of Dreams at one show.
In Japan. Yeah. In Japan. Well, I mean, occasionally he would just throw these things in. I mean, we did.
You wouldn't know it was coming or not.
No. Yeah. We did Rainbow Eyes a couple of times. We did Catch the Rainbow, and I was so. We did it, I think, in Munich, and I was so thrown aside. I couldn't remember the opening lines, and I heard some guy in the audience singing it, so I had to join in, and I joined in. You know, it's all that kind of fun and craziness.
Funny enough, you just mentioned that Ritchie gave you a set list and was open for discussion. So did you ever get any say whatsoever in the set list on any nights, or?
No, the set list more or less stayed the same unless he decided to throw something else in. Mm-hmm. You know, he would start Black Knight, for instance. You know, and I know everybody knows Black Knight, so we would go in and we'd do a bit of Black Knight. But mostly, if he was going into something that was going to be sort of off the wall, then he would know that I would know it. So he would just start playing something, and I would just come in and join in, and then the band would join in.
How was it working with Ritchie on the stage? Like I say, because he is unpredictable. You don't know what mood he's going to be in. You don't know what direction he's going to take it musically. Yeah,
I never found him moody at all, to be honest. You know,
is that a myth, his moodiness?
No, I don't think it's a myth. I just never saw it. You know, plenty of guys have been on the receiving end of it, but you know, he had total control of what he wanted to do. I used to introduce Black Masquerade every night as don't be afraid, it's the Black Masquerade, and he sent his assistant down to tell me not to do that anymore. So I didn't do it. Mm-hmm. Next night, can you do that again? You know, because he missed it. And it was the same with the scream at the end of the live version of Ariel when it's all been broken down and Candy's arailing away in the background.
That's why she's singing backing vocals.
Yeah, she did the backing vocals on that, and I come in with this really high pitched, powerful scream. Don't do that. So I didn't do it the next night, and you know, he missed it.
Yeah.
You know, so there were certain things. No, I think maybe I said no, it needs it there, and so we did it one night without, and then the next night he said, you're right, it needs it. But I mean, it was his band. He had control. You know, we made suggestions.
It was his name on the ticket. Yeah.
We made. You know, it's a case of, well, if you want to go and play Kill the King, form your own band and go and play with them. You know, it's that kind of thing.
There was one night, the only night I saw you on that tour was at Hammersmith Odeon.
Yeah.
And I remember one part you started singing Mistreated, and like Ritchie just cut you dead and thought, no, we're going somewhere else. And was that annoying, or did you adapt to that?
No, that's you know, it's all part of the fun, because we never did a full version of Mistreated until the second tour, you know. But he would just throw that in for fun, you know, and then just he liked to leave me hanging, you know. He would leave me and say, you're on, and then I'd be left standing in front of 4,000 people thinking, well, what the hell am I going to do, you know? But you know, that's all he gets. That's what he gets his enjoyment for. You've been doing it for that long, you know, with all these different people. You've got to find ways to enjoy yourself.
And obviously, like Ritchie Blackmore, he's one of, in my mind, the greatest guitarist out there. And what was the times on stage when you thought, I don't believe you just did that? You know, that was fantastic.
A lot of times, actually, I enjoyed watching him. That's why I would go off the stage. You know, when he was playing a solo, I would just get out the road. People are there to watch him, and I can watch him from the side of the stage and see what's going on and listen to him. You know, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. You know, it was a very happy time for me, and it, as I said, it opened me up to the wider public, and it opened me up to other artists who then decided they wanted to work with me.
And how did you get on with Ritchie on the road? Because obviously he's very well known for his dark humour, and you've got this very sort of dry humour. So did the dark mix with the dry?
Well, he would pull stunts. I remember being in Sao Paulo, and he was coming along my corridor. Now, he never stayed on the same floor as me, and I said, "What are you doing here?" And he said, "Oh, didn't like my room. I liked yours better." I thought, what's he done? And I went in, of course, my room was just absolutely perfect. Till I went to bed that night, and he'd taken that Gillette gel with his beard shavings for probably a week, you know, and just smudged them all over the bed, you know. And of course, I just get into the bed, it was like, oh God. So I went to go and have a shower, and he put all my towels and everything in the shower and soaked them up with a bubble bath. There was no, you know, it was juvenile stuff, but funny. I mean, if you're going to be offended, if you think he's picking on you, then you could be offended. You know, it didn't bother me.
Also, I think you're in a long line of a list of touring members of Ritchie who's played jokes on over the years. But can you take a joke back?
I didn't play a joke on him, but we were in Las Vegas. Now, he always signed into the hotel as Tealman's Suto, some bizarre name of some medieval composer, I think it was. And he signed in, and I was behind him, and he dropped his key, right? So he couldn't get into his room to get his passport or anything. So when he came back down to try and sign in, they're going, well, where's your ID? And he's going, well, I'm Ritchie Blackmore. And we're going, well, that's not the name in the room, sir, because I had his key. But he doesn't know that I did that. You know, but no, there was no point in doing anything like that. You know, it would be if he asks you to pass the ball, you pass the ball.
Yeah. You never play tricks on the manager.
No.
And obviously, it was like we mentioned earlier, that Candice Knight was like his partner at the time, I think. I don't know if they're married then. No. Obviously, he was bringing her on the road, and normally with touring bands, it's a no-no. You don't bring the wife or the girlfriend on tour. Yeah. So how did that sort of play with the band?
Well, they travelled separately from the band, you know, and you know, and she went and shopped or whatever she did while we sound checked, you know, and then she would turn up before the gig. I mean, she was perfectly nice on the road. I mean, there was never any issue, you know, because she had been there all during the audition period and all during the writing period and then all through the recording period as well. So it wasn't as if we weren't used to having Candy around, you know, and he was happy when she was around, you know. So it's all fair and good.
And did you ever get any inkling that Blackmore's Night would be around the corner? Did you ever see them two
No, all the time.
Did they walk around backstage in medieval gear and play their minstrel flutes? Like?
He lent me when we went over to record the album, he brought me an old Tascam. Then it was a new Tascam. It was a Tascam 244 tape machine, which was the same as I had at home, and it had a cassette inside it, and it had a lot of the songs that ended up on the very first Blackmore's Night album. They were in the cassette machine, and I just played it to see what it was, and it was her and him singing, you know. And so I gave him the tape back, you know, and it's yeah. I mean, it was always there. He was always playing guitar, and she was always singing, you know. So there was always something waiting to go around the corner, and it took off, and you know, and he seems perfectly happy doing it now.
Oh, he certainly does. I think she's taken more albums than even Ian Gillan now, I think.
It was all put together, I think.
And let's talk about that sort of incident, the last gig in Denmark, and the sort of conflicting reports. You know, there's a couple of interviews that Ritchie and Candice did last year, and they sort of made this accusation. They didn't actually mention you by name, but they said there's like two members of the touring band who sort of wanted more money, and he felt like he was being blackmailed, and he wanted to end the band there and then. Is there any truth in that?
I don't know, not from my point of view. I never asked Ritchie for anything other than a chance to do another album. That was all I wanted. I did hear the interview, and I did respond to the interview, and you know, it's all there on Blabbermouth or Metal Talk. Or
I think it was out there in Classic Rock, actually. Yeah.
Might be in Classic Rock as well. You know, I put it out there because I felt that it was very disingenuous of a disingenuous statement. You know, to do that. I'm not really going to say any more about it. It's not worthy of conversation, really.
No, I think part of that statement, you did actually say Richard's been pretty good to you since leaving Rainbow. He's had some private.
Yeah. I have no issues with Ritchie. If he has an issue with me, then it's something that has built up since the end of the band, certainly not while the band was going.
I think you made no secret of the fact that, obviously it's a bit late now, but you always wish there was another album.
Yeah, well, you know, again, you would have to speak to him about that because I don't know anything about that. The idea of the plan was, we did a tour in America, and it might have been '97, and the idea was that when he had finished, and these are his exact words, when he had finished working with Candy's album, we would go back into the studio and record another Rainbow album. That's what he said. That's why I wrote half a dozen ideas and took them to him in Esgeberg, because he had said, let's do it. So I thought, well, I'll start the ball rolling. But of course it never happened after that. You know,
do you ever get times where you think, what if?
No, you don't have. There's never enough time to think that. You know, you can't. I got to do it. I'm one of only 4 singers that were in Rainbow. It was a great time. You know, I'm in unparalleled company. You know, going right back as far as Rod Evans and you know and Gillan and Glenn and David and you know and Joe. You know, it's you know.
Well, it's put you on the world stage.
Yeah, it's great. You know, it's you know I'm very fortunate. You know, but it could have all crumbled. But you know, the harder I work, the luckier I get. I
say you left a masterful piece of work behind with Ritchie. And, let's move on from Blackmore, because obviously it has led to other things, and one of those is working with Michael Schenker, which is obviously another fantastic guitarist from the youth.
I wouldn't say that my working with Michael Schenker has anything to do with my working with Ritchie. You know, Chris Glenn invited me down to Shepherd's Bush when he was playing in MSG, and I got up sang.
That night,
yeah, and then I got invited to do a
Doctor
show. Yeah, but I got invited to do a show over in Sardinia with Ken Hensley and Ian Pace and Neil Murray and Michael Schenker, and so we did that, and that was great fun. And Chris Slade was there, and Don Airy was there, and Key Marcello was there, and we had a great time. And Michael and I got on really well. And you know, then he said, "Well, listen, do you fancy singing on my new album?" And I thought, "Yeah, great." And that's we wrote Before the Devil Knows You're Dead, and Planet Rock and other radio stations around Europe picked up on it. And when it came to doing the next tour, he said, would I sing on the tour with him? So we went and we did that with Herman Rarebell, Wayne Finley and Francis Bochholtz, and we did that. And then it was you fancy doing a new album? And I said, yes. So we recorded the album. It's in the mixing process just now. It's going to be called Bridge the Gap, and it comes out in November. And of course, we've started a tour in April, and we finished 2 weeks ago. You know, so it's been a busy time working with these guys.
And can you explain to people like who is the real Michael Schenker? You know, 'cause he's another one who's got his sort of mythical legendary status behind him. He's had his ups and downs, you know, with his drinking problems over the years, and obviously he's back playing on form again. He's playing better than ever before, isn't he, now?
Yeah, well, I mean, I only know the Michael that I know, and that's the guy that, you know, that I've just spent 5 months on the road with, you know, and he's funny, and he's charming, and he's thoughtful, you know, and he plays the guitar. He plays the guitar supremely well, and it's a great contrast from the way that I work with Ritchie to the way that I work with Michael. You know, because there is no going off on tangents. You know, it's a set list, and it's well worked out. He's, you know, because he has, I mean, he knows his audience. He knows what his audience wants. So he picks the best of the set list, and he puts them in the order that he thinks it should be, and it really works. And you know, he doesn't take the songs off in different directions the same way Yngwie did, or the same way that Ritchie did, or throw in songs that you're not expecting. He just improvises during his solos and things like Rock Bottom and things where he's trying out different ideas, and you know, so these things are all different every night.
And do you become a fan? Like you said earlier with Ritchie, like you just stand at the side, watch him do the solos. Like with Bottom, once again, do you become like a fan and just watch him from the side when he does that?
Yeah, sometimes, but normally it's a very loud band.
Yeah.
You know, it's a very loud band. I go away and sort of try and dry my ears out. You know. But during Rock Bottom, I try and get out to the mixing desk, and then I can hear what it sounds like, and I can see what it looks like, and you know, that's, you know, if you see me wandering through the audience during that, that's normally where I'm going, is to the mixing desk.
Oh, you was going to the bar.
Yeah, no.
And what's it like at a tour bus? Because obviously Michael's German, and he's back with Herman and Francis. And so, are they talking in German?
We don't do tour buses. We have a hotel every night, and we drive. If we're depends where we are. Michael goes by train, or he'll drive himself. Francis will sometimes go by train, and it'll be me, Herman, and Wayne just yakking in the back of a van. No, it's a kind of unwritten rule, really, that, you know, if we're all together, then they speak English, because Wayne speaks English, and the crew guys speak English, you know, and I speak a version of English known as Scottish. You know, so I mean, I suppose when the three of them are together, then they're speaking German, but when anybody else comes into the conversation, then it just switches naturally to English.
And how is it? Does it feel like it's a group?
Oh yeah, very much so. I mean, it's all good natured, and it's all good fun. And I mean, you saw them, right? You know.
I suppose you've all been there and done that. You've been around the block a few times.
Yeah, I mean, we get there. Michael and I get there 15 minutes before we go on stage, and we go on stage, and if we don't have anybody to meet, any press guys to meet, or any business guys to meet, or anything like that, we're out the door as soon as the show's finished. We're back in the hotel 10 minutes later, in the shower, you know, sitting down, nice cup of cocoa, go to bed. You know, we did 21 gigs in 23 days. Now, you know...
That's right, you did actually.
You know, so I can't be going down to the bar and sitting and yelling till 3 o'clock in the morning. You know, these
I was actually quite amazed because the last live DVD was like filmed in Tilburg, and that was from the night after Shepherd's Bush. So you did Shepherd's Bush, straight at the ferry, straight to Holland, and did a live DVD.
Yeah.
I found that absolutely amazing, you know.
That was our 13th gig in 14 days for that Tilburg thing. You know, that's, you know... Doesn't matter how tired you are, and it is. I mean, we don't get paid for the music. We get paid for sitting around in airports and sitting around at venues waiting to sound check, and you know, it's just sitting around and the travel that we get paid for, and you know, all you have to do is just have that, get your energy levels up for that 2 hours, you know, and then you can be back in your bed, you know, an hour later.
I've noticed something on tour dates. Sometimes you're doing a little block of a tour, and then all of a sudden in the middle of nowhere, all of a sudden you announce a gig in Preston,
Aye.
Why did you get sort of odd gigs phone about?
I don't know. I mean, that's agents and promoters. I don't know anything about that. I just do what I'm told. You know. I think it was really as a sort of build up, because we were doing the Steelhouse Festival and we were headlining one of the nights at Steelhouse Festival down in Wales, and I think everybody just wanted to feel that they were going to be up to speed for that, you know, so that you're not going to. I mean, we didn't know how big the Steelhouse Festival was going to be. Didn't know whether it was going to be 5,000 people or 10 or 20 or whatever. We didn't know what it was going to be.
You headlined that as well.
Yeah. We Saxon headlined one night. We headlined the next night. It was really good actually. I had a great time. I mean, the weather was a bit shit, but no, you know, it's funny because we played a place in Germany called Barbie. Now nobody knows where Barbie is. Nobody.
Nor does Ken.
No, nobody knows anything about it. I'll tell you what an awesome gig it was, and it was in the middle of nowhere. You know, 50 kilometres from wherever was the nearest city to get there, and we turned up and it was like a town hall in the middle of nowhere, and we thought, who's going to come here? Next minute we've got 1,500 people going absolutely bonkers. I mean, it was a great night.
Fantastic. And just to clarify, because obviously I think you're still officially a member of Tank.
Yeah.
Are you still in Tank now?
Yeah. You know, I did 2 great albums with Tank, and I really enjoyed it.
Very good albums actually. Yeah.
And you know, but the thing is, the work just never came in. You know, and I like being out on the road. I like doing an album and getting out on the road. That's my buzz, because the songs, I try to get them so that they're going to be good live. That's the important thing for me. Write the songs so that they're going to work in a live theatre. And Tank, the work just never came in. Just never came in for Tank, you know. And it's, you know, but the albums were good.
Will we make another album with Tank, do you think?
Well, I don't know. You know, I'm going to be busy all of next year, and we just have to wait and see where the land lies. You know.
And tell us back, because you're also busy with like one of your first very bands actually, Lapaz from Scotland.
Yeah.
You got that back together again.
Well, Tom Russell, the legendary Tom Russell, who was the DJ I used to listen to on Radio Clyde when I was a wee boy. That makes him sound like an old man. His radio station were having a first year anniversary party up in Scotland, and they were having the sensational Alex Harvey band, obviously without Alex, the Almighty, Thunder, I think Gun were there as well with Toby Jepson singing, and he said, would you fancy coming up and doing some half a dozen acoustic songs? I said, okay, don't know a guitar player. Mick Sherry, Chick, let's give him a call. So I gave Chick a call, we put it together. Chick hadn't played the guitar for 10 years, and that got his juices flowing again, and next thing I know he's like, do you fancy doing an album? Well, what we did was, he said, do you fancy doing an album of the old songs, so that, because we'd recorded them all on 8-track and they sound like shit, so let's do it just for ourselves. And then Metal Mind Productions heard it and said, oh, can you write 3 new ones and we'll give you a deal? So that's what we did, and then I went away last year on tour with Michael, and came back and Chick had written another bloody album, and so I finished that just before Christmas, and we got it mixed and ready, and then I started the Schenker album on the 7th of January. And then I went to Japan with Joe Lynn Turner and Graham Bonnet doing the Voices of Rainbow thing, and then went into rehearsals and went on tour with Michael and just got back. So it's been a busy time, but in that time Chick's written another album, which I've got up the stairs, but I'm not going to. I just need to give myself a little break from that, and then with Biff and Joe Lynn Turner and Neil Murray and Don Airey, Tony Martin, we're doing a thing called Schubert and Rock out in Innsbruck, and this is a guitar player, Schubert, and he had a big hit album out that way in the sort of mid-80s, and he decided to record it with his favourite musicians, and that's what he's done, and it's come together really well. So I've got that to look forward to just before Christmas, and then of course there's always Demon's Eye there, which is always good fun. That's just jumping into comfortable shoes and having.
Of course, Demon's Eye, you sing like Deep Purple numbers, and plus your own material as well.
Yeah, we did an album together, which has done really well actually, and we go out and do maybe half a dozen gigs with them a year, 8 gigs with them a year, and it's great fun. I like to keep busy, as I told you. And I like to do it with people who I enjoy, and and there's never any pressure or egos or anything. You just turn up.
Well, it's like goal rule number one is like in any job you've got to enjoy it, otherwise
of course,
job's a chore.
Yeah, it's.
And obviously with Lapaz, you've always had like a close affinity and a fondness to them. But there's another band after them, Midnight Blue, which in my mind should have made it big. You played the Marquee Club. You even supported like Lita Ford at the Marquee. And
that was our second or third gig, I think. No, we were it was too little, too late, to be honest. All the major record labels had their bands, whether it was Little Angels or
it was like Little Angels or Mighty,
Gun, Choir Boys, Thunder. There was no space.
There was
no space for us really.
You still in touch with the guys at Midnight Blues?
No, I don't see any of them at all. I occasionally, when Jem drives by, he occasionally pops in to see me.
Of course, he's in FM now.
Yeah, he's in FM. So I mean, and when we're both Dexter fans, and so Dexter.
The reason I ask you because there was an album released posthumously, Take the Money and Run. It sort of came out like 4 years after you finished, and it's really like demo form.
Yes, demo. It was. They were all demos because we never had any money.
Yeah.
We recorded it in the bathroom in the house just over the road over there actually, in the bathroom. With Eddie.
So it's like you would like to finish off, like touch some of those songs up.
Nah. The only one that I would even consider touching would be One Way to Heaven, which I really liked.
I thought Only Girl was a good little.
I never even made the album.
I didn't. No,
never made the album. We could never get it to sound right. It was very much a live thing.
Live number, yeah.
It was just a fun live song to end up with. But to get no, I wouldn't. Midnight Blues, dead and buried, and but then you never know. But I doubt it. I would. It's not something that I would go back to because it was a very, very short period of time. It was only about 6 months or 8 months.
I think you did sell out the Marquee once and Chain Cross Road.
Yeah.
As an unsigned band, that's pretty good going.
Yeah, we sold it. We sold out. We played there once a month for about 6 months or 8 months. And then we all got the call to go to Gun, and that was it. It was he was irreplaceable as a guitar player as far as I'm concerned. He was unique. He was a great writer, and he when we had a sort of one of these kind of fractious guitar player-singer relationships, which I'm thankful I don't have anymore. All the guitar players I seem to work with these days are very nice boys.
Well, good, Doogie. It's been fantastic talking to you. We could sit here all day chatting away. There's so much to talk about. You do have such a wide, varied and fantastic career. Long may it continue.
Thank you, man.
Doogie, all the best. And the album, Black Masquerade, the Rainbow album, is out on August the 27th. And
the Lapaz album, The Dark and the Light, is available now. And it's also available in iTunes.
And look forward to that Michael Schenker Temple of Rock, the next album.
Yes, Bridge the Gap in November.
I really do look forward to that. Doogie, fantastic as always. Cheers, mate.
Thank you.